Hello, Konrad. How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic. Hello, Monica. Good morning to the audience. Maybe I'll start with a call out to the audience, actually. Take advantage, please, of us being live with you. And just submit some of you to submit questions. And we'll get to them probably by the end of this session. So whenever a question crosses your mind, just leave it. And we'll do our best to get to it in the near future.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And please be welcome to ask your questions on chat. As disability inclusion is a very important topic for many of our organizations that aspire to be barrier-free, inclusive, open, and supporting professional activization of people with disabilities. Konrad, what are the opportunities for the organizations that are still not convinced? What is the value in sourcing people with disabilities?
Oh, I would say there are plenty of very, very reasons, but let me just focus on three today. First of all, in many areas, people with disabilities will actually be, next to not working parents, your last remaining local source of talent. And there's plenty of those people around. Let's look at the facts. Right now, about 1 in 3 people with disabilities is active on the job market. The EU average is 50%. So we have a gap of about 20%. Moreover, out of the 400,000 people with disabilities who do work, a vast majority of them actually works far below their skill level. So if your company comes forward and offers them an equitable workplace, you'll be very happy to join the workforce. So this is the number one reason. Great talent that's waiting for you to grab and waiting to contribute to your company's success. Number two, when you are a person with disability, it is virtually impossible to achieve academic or professional excellence without a wide plethora of highly desirable soft skills. I'm thinking about traits such as dedication, problem solving, attention to detail, perseverance, enthusiasm, resilience. Many people wouldn't even get out of their home without having those skills. That is for instance, in the academic sphere or in any professional training. With disabilities need to prove those skills every single day of their life just to have a good life. So by hiring them, you're not only getting someone with great hard skills, so to speak, right? But you're also getting all-inclusive, so to speak, in terms of soft skills, because those people wouldn't be there, wouldn't have those hard skills if they haven't developed these character traits that are so necessary on the modern job market. And the third reason, which is important actually for every single company, even if your company right now has no plans to hire new talent, you have no issues with attrition, you will be able to manage all your future business growth in-house, kudos to you. But we are all aging. And the older your employees get, the more likely it is that they will develop some sort of health condition. So by not building an inclusive company today, you're actually jeopardizing the future economic prosperity of your business.
Konrad, but we hear from many organizations that actually they cannot attract the right talent with disabilities. What are the most common challenges across various markets around the globe?
Absolutely. If it was easy, we maybe wouldn't have this topic today during the conference. Again, let me give you 3 steps. It's just a coincidence, but again, 3 important items. First of all, if becoming inclusive and open to people with disabilities is merely a bullet point on a slide deck or a line in your mission statement or just some passion project of a single manager, it's going to fail. Your entire organization needs to consciously and sincerely commit to this. Otherwise, it's not going to be a success. Second, once you decide to be open-minded and inclusive and welcoming, let the world know. One easy way to do this, which I very much recommend, is putting a statement under every single of your job openings that you are an equal opportunity employer and you welcome folks from all walks of life, no matter their age, their gender, their orientation, their veteran status or disability or any other trait, right? That you really focus on who they are and not on, what's their age or what's their disability status. Because this encourages talent to actually apply. Right? If you don't take the right actions to attract those candidates, then you will end up with no candidates. And the third step is actually solving a mystery or a challenge that I very often hear when talking to students or to graduates. And the question is, when do I mention my disability? Solve this question by providing a separate path to requesting adaptations from the very beginning of the hiring process. Because this will enable those candidates to focus on their strengths in their resume and simultaneously to let you know that, yes, they would need some adaptation to show you their true potential.
Konrad, do you think that we have overcome already the unconscious bias among managers in the organizations? Or is there still fear about unknown still present? What's your opinion?
Probably we'll never reach a point where every single manager on the planet will have kind of eliminated all potential unconscious bias. One way to overcome this, or one way to lessen the influence of unconscious bias on the hiring process, is simply implementing processes that those managers need to follow, or solutions when they encounter, for instance, someone who discloses their disability or discloses that they are a person with neurodivergent traits during the interview. Here, just to give you an example, one solution that is highlighted in the organizations I am aware of is that when someone discloses this during their interview, you would confirm that this person is happy to continue or offer them additional adaptations, maybe another appointment slot, maybe a later point in time, so that you can also prepare all the necessary adaptations for this particular setup. So in a nutshell, yes, biases will remain an issue, will remain a challenge, but the remedy for this is to put in certain processes and to simply make sure that those managers follow them, be during the hiring process or also later, for instance, when grading the performance of their reports.
Absolutely. Procedures, clear step-by-step information, guidance for hiring manager, for recruitment, proper trainings on how to talk to people with disabilities, how to talk about their disabilities or potential challenges that they might encounter during the recruitment process or later during the work period. That's absolutely clue and basis. Do you think that building awareness program for the managers, teams, and whole population in the organizations also support that process of onboarding and then retaining employees with disabilities?
Pardon, say again?
Yes. Do you think that in awareness programs and education of managers and everybody involved in the process of hiring and then retaining talents with disabilities can help as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We of course need to balance disclosing certain personal traits, but one thing that works, for instance, Miracles, was when you actually already have internal representation from those underrepresented groups who can, for instance, talk to other teams, talk to other managers, and convince them that this is actually working. And now, if you don't have it in-house yet, because you are just starting your journey to becoming an inclusive company, it's always a great idea to get inspired from other companies around you in your sector, in your vertical, because if something worked for them, it should also work for you, shouldn't it?
Absolutely. I remember myself when I was 20, and with my mobility disability, I was thinking of future career. One of the showstoppers for me was that in corporate environment, there are great, beautiful, very smart, and very healthy people. So how shall I count myself in such an environment? What would you advise to people with disabilities to overcome the lack of self-confidence? How can we encourage them that working, especially for international organizations, will give them also lots of great opportunities and chances for development?
Yeah, I would say here the responsibility is actually on the corporations. So, for instance, what we are doing in Google Poland right now is we're organizing student workshops for current students, but also for recent graduates, exactly to give them the confidence, because we know they have great skills, right? They've already invested years and years in their education, and they are great talent, they are a great candidate. But often they don't trust themselves, they don't have confidence that they wouldn't even apply to those companies, although they are a great fit, because they would question their own skills, question their own possibilities, capabilities, etc. Right? So their own picture of themselves worse than reality. And this is something that ideally those companies should do. So I would encourage other companies to also step forward and invest time in their content, be it for instance, with job fairs, with certain workshops, regular interactions with student bodies, to highlight that really graduates in the world to believe in themselves and to feel confident about their future on the open job market, even in very demanding business environments.
Absolutely. So future of hiring people with disabilities and retaining them is not a nice to have anymore for organizations. What changes do you see that are coming that will have a significant impact and will challenge also the currently existing organizations in being more proactive towards people with disabilities? What is changing there in the world that we really need to start executing on whole and holistic procedures and strategies?
Yeah. So as for the reasons, just as I was mentioning at the very beginning, first of all, the aging population. So your current workforce will actually need more adaptations and more inclusivity very soon. Plus, of course, a shortage in great candidates. So you need to open yourself to new underrepresented groups. Otherwise, you simply will have nobody to hire. But in terms of positive changes which are happening, and I hope we have time to highlight them as well. There are two which are very, very critical. The accessibility, both in the physical space, but also digital accessibility, has improved massively over the last 10, 15 years. Most of the new open office spaces or renovated spaces, they are accessible to people with some mobility impairments from the get-go, from the very beginning, without any. Similarly, a lot of companies over the last years have invested massive development resources into making software accessible. What used to cost hundreds and hundreds of euros, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, is very often built in completely for free. A lot of the software that you are already using is very much accessible to all users for many reasons. First of all, because actually many of the features that are linked with accessibility have a big benefit to all the users who are using the particular product. Let me call out closed captioning. Many of the video conferencing software that we are using already has closed captioning built in. So you can turn on, the subtitles that automatically translate the spoken word into text. And this is a phenomenal feature for anyone who might not be very proficient with the language that's used during the video conference. But of course, it is a deal breaker or a very important feature for everyone who has issues with hearing, right? So a lot of the times, those features are actually convenience features for everyone and extremely important, decisive features for certain cohorts of the people with disabilities community. So in closing today, it is significantly cheaper and easier to create an environment, a working environment that's inclusive compared to 10 or 15 years ago. Very often you will actually find out if you audit your own work environment that you're already meeting all the necessary requirements without even changing a single issue in your or a single setup in your own business.
Absolutely. Konrad, additionally, I wanted to mention, and I hope it will be really sometimes an eye-opening for our organizations, is the fact that even the ESG reporting is coming into place. And this will be an external factor, really requiring the organizations to start being active, more active, and encourage sourcing, but also hiring and activization of people with disabilities across various, especially EU markets, but not only there. Even the most recent changes in the UK regulations will expect all organizations to provide metrics on the number of people employed, people with disabilities, people with neurodiversity. So this is being looked at not only internally by our employees and management inside the organizations, not only by the external candidates, but also external parties like the regulators. So I would like to ask you the very last question. We have only 1 minute left. Konrad, if we are investing and doing so much and investing so much efforts in really making a progress in terms of disability inclusion, and the progress is not as visible as we wished, what would you advise to such an organization? Why it's worth fighting?
Well, because whenever you create an inclusive work environment, it benefits your existing workers, your existing employees, and you're always making sure that your business is open to the entire cohort of people with disabilities. For instance, if you make sure that your software works with assistive technologies, and you hire maybe a candidate with some, loss of vision, and for whatever reason you have to part, then all the investment that you've already made stays in your company, which means that you suddenly became open to tens of thousands of other candidates with similar health challenges who might be a great addition to your workforce in the near future.
Absolutely.
So it is not like you're just changing your business for the better for a few people. You're changing a whole community.
That's absolutely true, Konrad. I would like to thank you very much for our conversation today. And just a kind ask to our audience. If you have a candidate with disability and you don't know, what his needs are, just ask. Be open and try to ask what the needs are, how we can help, how we can support. This will be the best trigger to have this open-minded conversation and really include people with disability into our organizations. Thank you very much for your time, Konrad. It was great to see you.
Thank you, my pleasure, and best of luck to all of you for building a more inclusive future.
Thank you.